Hello and welcome everybody. So today I want to talk about the imperfections and the perfection of life. I talked yesterday about seeing through, and noticing the circumstances of life. Let's call it anxiety, grief, guilt, depression, anything like that. To accept it, to accept the ball of energy, let it go and see through it. It's because if not, we're basically feeding the energy, making it stronger. So, as we look at the world in front of us, all this stuff going on, might be a war over here or a weather catastrophe over there and all this. And the thing is, whether we think it's a horrible thing or a fantastic thing, it's still a thing. It's still the fact that we're aware of it happening. And I always tell people, if there's any way you can personally help the issue that's going on that you saw on the news or whatever, then go ahead. By all means, let's make it better if you can personally, but if it's not something we can personally control, then we just have to, if you make just the awareness of it and then let it go and realize it's part of Earth. So as the title to this video is Perfect Imperfections, it's like, none of us are individually are perfect, but we all make up the perfect whole. In other words, like each individual imperfect piece fits together like a jigsaw puzzle, makes one perfect whole. And knowing this is what I mean by seeing through the veil. In other words, God doesn't make things that are not perfect. In other words, and call it God, the universe, Jesus, whatever you believe in, scientific method. In other words, there is no imperfection. So all the stuff going around on the planet, all this bad stuff, good stuff, it's all a perfect piece of the whole. We look at the situation in our life and what's going on in front of us, and it's basically, once you get to the point where you can be happy in the situation that you're in, then things start to turn around and get better. Then we're not fighting against what's already going on, and we're able to manifest the solution to the problems in our lives through God, of course. But people ask me about all this going on or whatever, and this is one of the most noble things you can do is, when I look at life, I see perfection. I see the perfection of God. We don't have to, think about everything going on in the universe that we're not having to control. Just think if you had to control your own blinking and your own breathing and your heartbeat, we wouldn't get anything done. It'd be like, okay, blink, breathe in, heartbeat, breathe out, blink, heartbeat. Like the whole universe is being done for us. All we got to do is see it in our conscience. I love y'all. See you on the next one.